It's going to be hard to boost testosterone if you're limiting the amount of muscle you're able to build inside of a workout.
Mm.
So I think like especially with like testosterone, I found that again just it's foundational. So for me, I found the best testosterone, I guess, boosting cocktail is number one, let's not be fat, or let's not be overly fat,
Hmm.
right? Let's actually keep our body fats down to a nominal level and do whatever you can with your diet and exercise to make that happen.
Mm.
Number two is to actually lift heavy weights and to build muscle. And heavy weights is a very subjective term. It's just heavy according to what you think is heavy. And then the next one is just time in nature, time in the sun, making sure you're getting adequate vitamin D levels, just to make sure that it gives you that best environment to actually boost testosterone. And that's pretty much it. I think people, especially with like guys, with especially with testosterone, they look at it as like as almost like that secret magic trick and that
Hmm.
like magic hack. So I don't know if your husband has been through this, but maybe you heard a couple of his friends are like, yeah, man, like I went to this testosterone doctor and my T was like super low.
Hmm.
And now I'm like on testosterone and, technically I have to be on it forever, but, now I'm on testosterone. My T levels are this. And,
Hmm.
and usually when I see people like that, it's like they haven't exhausted the natural means to get there
Mm.
at all. So, people who are getting like testosterone shots are not necessarily sleep. Actually, sorry, sleep is a big one. So they're not sleeping 8 hours a day. They're not hitting the gym and lifting heavy. They're not spending time in nature. They're not actually doing anything to diet down and get rid of their body fat. So they haven't even given themselves a chance. So they're actually taking, exogenous like testosterone to supplement it to kind of like fix a problem that is actually needed to be fixed by work and not necessarily by injections.
I didn't know that sunlight and nature were a part of that calculation.
So they do it in a very roundabout way, right? So I'm not going to say like, okay, well, if you get direct sunlight, then you're boosting testosterone by 25% or anything like that. But what time in nature and sunlight does is it actually helps reduce cortisol.
Mm.
So when you're reducing your stress levels and when you're spending time out in nature and when you're actually breathing in the greens and doing some forest bathing or maybe like laying out in the sun, whatever it is, it de-stresses you. It
Hmm.
lowers your cortisol levels, so that gives you again like a better chance at increasing your testosterone levels.
And that's your belly fat usually too, right? With men.
Yeah, it's that, yeah, the belly fat, what we call like android fat. We find that when people have an enormous gut, an enormous belly, then that alone is going to severely hamper their I guess their efforts towards boosting testosterone. And if I were to simplify, I'd be like, don't be fat, gain some muscle, spend time out in nature, and get your sleep. That's pretty much it.
Hmm. And then isn't it like large muscle groups as well? Like that's also a way. Like so, do incorporating legs every day to some
Yeah.
extent.
I don't know about legs every day, although that would be like so torturous, and you have to be super masochistic to want to do like legs every single day. Legs are like the bane of my society or bane of my existence. But when I think about the foundational exercises, yes, it is like the squat, it is the deadlift, it is the bench, it is some form of rowing, it is some form of overhead pulling, it is some form of overhead pressing, and some form of hip thrusting or hip hinging,
Hmm.
and maybe like a single leg movement in terms of that. And if you actually just focus on maybe those movements, then and actually just get progressively stronger in those, I feel like those would give you like the best, almost like the best environment to boost testosterone for yourself.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
because also when you start taking the injections as well, I don't know if you're trying to conceive is that kind of puts a hindrance on that. So
yeah,
I remember the my husband's doctor was saying, well, we could put you on this, but we know you guys want to have another kid, and so yeah, that's not an option for him.
yeah. It's well, I don't want to talk about your husband when he's not in the room and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, if he did, like, I mean, are you guys actually trying to get like kids again,
Hmm.
or try to have multiple? How many kids do you want?
We want like two. I say two,
Yeah.
but then there's like those really amazing days, and you're like, I could have a lot of kids, and he's like,
So,
Candace, we need to talk.
yeah,
I
so
do
true.
not want 10 kids. Like,
So we
okay,
actually
yeah.
said we actually said one,
Uh-huh.
and then things are so going so good with our daughter that sometimes like you give the eye to your spouse, you're like, hey. What
Yeah.
do you think about like one more? A
Uh-huh.
couple more.
Mhm.
Yeah. So let's just say like your husband he wants to boost testosterone. It's really just like okay, well, let's drop the body fat bit, bud.
Mhm.
Let's actually do that.
Mhm.
Let's just hit the gym and let's just kind of like keep things as simple as humanly possible. And we also have to consider the fact that when you have a kid, especially from a guy's perspective, testosterone drops, right? So
Mhm.
there's this like significant drop of testosterone when you have a child. And I have my own theory around this as well,
What's your
right?
theory?
So my theory is that people find there's a correlation between the drop in testosterone and having a child because of the fact that guys, when they have a child, and actually just guys and women, or whatever whatever nouns you want to use, but when they actually have a child, they're not getting sleep, they are not exercising, they are eating like crap because they're not getting sleep. And then this is the cocktail to drop your testosterone. You're not going out in nature as much as you want. You're not free. You basically have a kid
Mhm.
24/7. So that's my theory. I think like what happens when you have a kid is like all the things that you're doing that were healthy kind of go out the window because you're trying to take care of this kid. You have to refine those, but then those are the reasons why your testosterone is actually dropping.
Do you wanna hear the evolutionary biologist,
Yes.
theory? So, they say that the reason that the dad's, T drops so significantly when the baby's born is that essentially, like, in the caveman eras, you would want him to, like, stay and help take care of the baby and not, like, go out hunting and go out and
Mm.
try to find, like, the next hot thing to spread the seed. So you kinda want him to be, like, a little bit calmer, a little bit more tame so that he stays in the cave.